After you have packed your column, you will observe that you have a little plug, sand, alumina packing, and then a little bit more sand on your column. This sand is packed here so that when you add your mixture of the compounds as a solution, the reaction or the mixture will settle between the alumina and the sand. When you will add your mobile phases, your solvents, that is, when they will drop or fall on this column, they will not disturb this mixture of compounds or the alumina packing. They can disturb this sand bed, and that is fine. Once you have started your column, you do not afford your reaction mixtures or this alumina to be disturbed. Just like in your TLC plate, the spots rise in the lane. In a similar fashion, your compounds elute out in a lane. You do not want that packing to be disturbed. Just like you do not want your TLC plate to be disturbed when you put it in your TLC chamber. Do not move your TLC chamber while your TLC plate is in the chamber. The alumina, being polar in nature, holds the polar material back, whereas the non-polar material is loose in this alumina packing. When you will add your non-polar solvent first, the already loose non-polar material will start to dissolve in it and come out first. So when we use the terminology elute, it is just another meaning or way of saying that the material is coming out of the system or the container. So you always put non-polar solvent first. If you put your polar solvent first, what is going to happen? Your non-polar material is already loose. Your polar solvent will dissolve the tightly held polar compound also. And so the loosely held non-polar compound as well as the tightly held polar compound dissolved in the polar solvent, both of them will elute out. Column definitely runs on affinity of the polar compounds and the alumina, but it also works on the principle of polarity and gravity. Polarity is how polar the compound is, and non-polar compounds will move first because they will not be held back by the alumina. Our TLC plates work in the opposite fashion. They work on the capillary action. They rise. Near the baseline or the line of origin is where our polar compounds are held back. And the non-polar compounds are not held back. That is why when you put it in the TLC mixture, the solvent helps to move the non-polar material first. Whenever you will have a TLC mixture, you usually have small amount of polar solvent and more amount of your non-polar solvent. As you increase the amount of your polar solvent, the RF values will also increase. For example, let's say that at 10% of polar solvent and 90% of the non-polar solvent making up the TLC solution, this is the RF value that a student gets. However, as soon as you change the polarity mixtures, if you increase the polarity to about 30%, let's say, and decrease the non-polarity of the solvent, we see because of the polar solvent being more in amount will dissolve your compound even more if it is polar, and this RF value will rise as compared to what it was, what it is now. So this is what you need to know about the relationship between the column and the TLC plate. The next part is to prepare a TLC chamber. In a 100 ml beaker, you will add 4 to 5 ml of your non-polar and polar mixture solvents solution. This TLC solvent solution mixture can be found under the fume hood. The aluminum foil will be just to cover the top. Try not to cover the walls of this glass beaker. You will also need a filter paper which is half cut already for you at the back benches, which you will have to put the sunny side up so that the glass can be helpful for you when you place your TLC plate in this TLC chamber. You will make sure that you place the origin line above this solvent level. Mark 4 small intersections, one for your watch class 1, watch class 2, authentic ferrocene, authentic acetylferrocene. Make sure to leave a little bit of dry space above this TLC plate, and when you're taking out this TLC plate, please put a mark with pencil on the top for the solvent front. Always remember that you do not move the TLC chamber when your TLC plate is placed in this beaker. Otherwise, you will see wavy lines, and I will also see the wavy lines, and I will know that you have moved your TLC plate.